It takes a lot of power to send a rocket into space. But it doesn't take much to make something smaller take off. This is a regular old tea bag. Now, there's not much remarkable about it, but with a little ingenuity and a little help from science, you can turn this into this. It all starts with the tea bag. Cut off the top. Dump the tea onto a surface that won't burn. Unfold the paper into a tube. Make sure to get bags that actually unfold. Place the tube on the tea, and your platform is all set. Before launch, some safety tips. Always have a fire extinguisher on hand and adult supervision. And make sure to stand back from the tea bag before you light it. Now, why in the world, or in space, does that happen? When an object is hot, the molecules inside it move around really quickly. Molecules are little bundles of stuff that make up our world. The hotter the object, the faster the vibration. And a really good example of this are the phases of water. In ice, molecules are moving around really slowly. They go so slow that they can link up and form bonds, and that's how we get ice cubes. But if you add a little bit of heat to that equation, they start moving around a little bit more and vibrating against each other. So then they are separated from that ice bond, but not quite enough to be free of each other. So they end up taking the form of liquid water and just fill whatever container you put them in. But if you add even more heat, they start to bounce against each other and turn into a gas. So how does that tie into the rocket? When the fire starts, it creates a little space in the air right above it. That starts to move all of these orange molecules around. So all this air starts bumping into each other and moving really, really fast and starting to spread out. Now, the air really doesn't like having a space right next to the ground. So all this colder blue air, which is heavier than this warm orange air, keeps on filling in the space. And that helps to push a little bit of this up as it keeps on rising. When it does, it spreads out more and more, so less of the orange bumps into each other. When it does, it's able to cool back towards the same temperature as the blue air. Rockets like the kind NASA uses have a slightly different process for taking off. They turn the fuel molecules inside them into gases that push the rocket up. A good example of something that works like the tea bags? Weather. Clouds are a really good example of how this same heat principle works with weather. So when light from the sun hits the ground, it bounces around the ground molecules, which then bounce into the ones that are in the air. Now, that air has little tiny bits of water in it in a gas form. And then when that air rises, it carries that gas water along with it. Then, as it goes up and it expands and is cooling, that gas turns into a liquid, and that's what we see as clouds. There are a bunch of other ways that this principle works in weather, but this is one of the coolest. More like hottest. Marshall Downing, KVRR Local News.